Hello friends, I am really excited about for today. This is our last week about talking about family and the importance it is to have family. And so, being that you've been with your family for the past couple months non-stop, I hope this has been able to help you in understanding your family a little bit more. Next up is we have an amazing race. It's called New Life Family's Amazing Race. If you are a New Life family with a baby all the way up to an 18-year-old, you're invited to participate. What's cool is we're gonna have all of these signs out at different locations. Your job is to figure out the clue of that location, drive to that place, take a selfie or a picture of your whole family, and then continue to move to the next location. The person that has all the locations, or most of the locations, because I don't think you're getting them all, you're the winner, and you get $200 reward. You can split it up to all your friends if you're doing it as a friend event, or you can do it as a family event, and you can split it up between your whole family. I think that's it. There's gonna be a second and third place prize, and there's also gonna be a bunch of prizes given out throughout the day. So you're not gonna wanna miss it. It's gonna be super fun, and I hope you're gonna be able to be a part of it, because it's just gonna get you out there and driving around, and who knows, it's also kind of like a homeschooling event, because you're gonna learn a lot about different buildings and historical sites that you've never known before. Ooh. All right, let's get started with our message for today. All right, so today we are talking about forgiveness, and this is what it says: a not so typical family forgives each other. Ooh. So if you have a sibling, I already can tell, and I already know that going through your head at this moment, you're probably thinking, I hate my sister, or I hate my brother. I get it. I had two sisters, one younger, one older, and my oldest sister and I, we just got along so well until the younger one was born. And then we started fighting over who gets to hang out with the younger one. At one point, we even were fighting over who gets to hang out with my younger sister, that she grabbed one arm of my little sister and I grabbed the other arm, and we started pulling and dislocated her arms. Yeah, that was a bad day. Of course, my mom and dad went to the hospital with my sister thinking they're abusive parents, which really they weren't. The fact is that they have abusive siblings that want to play with her and just loved her so much, and that was the problem. But that's not the story I want to talk about forgiveness. I have a forgiveness story that is going to blow your mind, and it wasn't until I was about 16 years old where I really started understanding, and 17 actually is when this happened, to really understanding the importance of forgiveness. And if you've never heard this story, this is a good one. My friend and I, we grew up together. His name is Ben Leach. He is amazing, one of my best friends, and I have actually 2 or 3 of them. And we always had this group of people that we called the Best Friends Club, and we'd always hang out all the time. Well, one day, the Best Friends Club were hanging out. So we went out, and I think we were going to the beach. It was either Gunkwit or something, and we were just having a good time. And as we were driving home, my friend and I, Ben Leach, got in a fight to where we were just saying just mean, nasty things to one another. And I know, believe it or not, a pastor would ever do that. I wasn't a pastor then. I didn't understand life 100% yet. But I did understand one thing, is forgiveness. And so we got in this fight in front of everyone in the Best Friends Club. Everyone's looking at us kind of like, awkward. If you have never been in an awkward situation while watching 2 other people fight or argue, it is the most weirdest point or experience you're ever going to be in. And so he and I are fighting. The fight ends. Silence all the way home. We were just so angry with one another. And this drive's about 20 minutes long. We finally get home, and in me, I am just like boiling on the inside during this ride home. But at one point, I've never felt so guilty in my entire life. And I don't know how or what was happening in Ben at the time, but when we got home, he approached me and he said, I can't do this. I need to apologize. And he asked for forgiveness. And then all of a sudden in me, I'm like, man, I want to say I'm sorry too. I can't believe that just happened. And what's crazy is we never got out of the car together. We weren't separated. I mean, he was on one side of the car, I was on the other. But the fact is by the time we drove that 20-minute ride home, God was speaking to both of us at the exact same time, to the point where we were feeling guilty of hurting one another and saying the words that we said, that we could not allow us to go home that night without finding some restoration and some healing in that moment. And so we asked for forgiveness. We hugged each other and said, I love you, man. I love you too. And then of course, him and his sister went home, and the Best Friends Club all went home. And we apologized to everyone in the group, and they actually even witnessed it. The whole group witnessed it. And I just want to say this. Forgiveness is so important, because without realizing it, what forgiveness does, if let's say it like this, because Pastor Justin preached on this, and so I don't want to like be beating a dead horse here. So if you listen to his sermon, or if you haven't, you should. It's all about the Lord's Prayer, and at this time we're talking about how important it is to forgive one another. And so when I forgave Ben and Ben forgave me, it wasn't me helping him in that moment. By me forgiving him was helping me. See, because when you don't forgive, you're in bondage. You're in captivity. You're trapped. You're carrying weight that you shouldn't be carrying. You become a prisoner of your own unforgiveness. And you're like, Pastor Steve, what do you mean? I'll tell you what. If that day I did not forgive Ben, and say I'm hurt by so many other people too, and I don't bring forgiveness to them, imagine a pointless hike up a mountain. Imagine carrying a book bag full of the most heaviest weights you could ever think of up a mountain. And you're trying to enjoy this hike up a mountain. But when you have that much baggage on you and that weight on you, it's not easy. As a matter of fact, it becomes tedious and you never want to do it again. How do I know this? Because one time I went hiking and I had a bag full of a gallon of water, and I had drinks for other people, and I was like the pack mule of the trip. About halfway up the mountain, I'm thinking to myself, these people need to carry their own weight. You want something to drink? Carry your own stinking drink. I'm done. I'm not carrying your weight. That's the same exact feeling that unforgiveness brings to you. If you don't forgive people, that weight will start holding you down. And before you know it, you're having a hard time even enjoying life. So I'll tell you this. There's a story I want you to listen to. I have a video here that I found. We've been talking about Abraham, and it's about a 5-minute video. So watch the whole thing. It's really cool about just understanding in Genesis this very dysfunctional family and how Joseph forgave his brothers. But we're going to go a little bit further back to understand where Joseph came from, and then you're going to hear and see how Joseph forgave his family.
So Jacob goes on from there to have 12 sons, big family. But Jacob loves his 11th son, Joseph, way more than all the others. And so he gives him the special Technicolor dream coat. And his brothers, because of this, come to hate him.
So much so that they plan on killing him.
But they don't. They instead just sell him as a slave down in Egypt.
Now, while in Egypt, through this crazy series of events, Joseph goes from being in a prison cell to becoming the second in command there.
And so later on, the whole Middle East falls into this food shortage. And Joseph's brothers, they come down to Egypt looking for food. And then when they get there, who should they find as the ruler of the whole land?
It's Joseph, that guy they sold into slavery. But he actually saves them from starving to death.
And so here you have it. These are the great grandchildren of Abraham who have done this heinous act to their brother, but God has transformed their evil into something good.
And that's exactly what Joseph says here in the last paragraph of the entire book. He says, you guys planned all of this for evil, but God planned it for good, to save people's lives.
All right, so I want to read a verse with you after watching that video. It's in Matthew 18:21 through 22. Pastor Justin read this about 2 weeks ago, and I just want to clarify before I read it. Joseph could have easily held this crazy grudge against his brothers. He could have easily put him in jail because he's in charge, or let him starve and die. Like, he could have had his revenge. Isn't revenge great? No, it's not. Revenge is not great. As a matter of fact, instead of any of that, he forgave his brothers. And by doing so, he also helped them, gave them food, lived with them. Like, that is awesome. That is the epitome of forgiveness. And so here's a verse. And like I said, it's Matthew 18:21 through 22, and it says this: Then Peter came to Jesus and asked, Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother or sister who sins against me? Up to 7 times? And Jesus answered, I tell you, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. That's a lot of times. But even then, what happens if they actually hit that 70 times 7 mark? Doesn't matter. What Jesus is telling you is to forgive, forgive, forgive. I don't know, I just feel like this is something that you really need to hear, but it's not for them. It's for you. I can say I'm sorry and I forgive you all day to the person that I'm angry with. But if they're angry with me, there's nothing I can do. I've already repented. I said I'm sorry. I won't do it again. The weight off my shoulders is now then released. You can only do your part. Don't just go around saying I'm sorry and leave a pebble there, though, because they really, really hurt you really bad. I'm only going to forgive them somewhat. I'm not going to forgive them all the way. No, you can't, because that pebble, after a while, I mean, I don't know if you've held 100 pounds of sand. It's still 100 pounds. Still climbing a mountain with 100 pounds of sand is a lot of weight. See what I'm saying? Unforgiveness needs to be released. You've got to forgive. So, now the question, the hard question. I see pictures of you guys on Facebook and stuff like that, and next to your families and your siblings, and everyone's having a good time, and then I see this face in the picture. What is that? Is that angry? Is that frustrated? Did you just get an argument with your sibling right before you got that picture done? Or maybe I don't want my picture done, I hate my life. Like, whatever that may be, you're unhappy. You're not filled with joy. Like, why post that on Facebook? Here's what I want to say. Unforgiveness, bitterness, not talking to your family or friends about what's going on in your life is going to make you look like that. Or maybe you're upset that I'm telling you that. Maybe you're like, I hate you, Pastor Steve, right now. It's not me. And I forgive you for hating me. But I will tell you this. It's time to find out what's inside of you, what's inside of me, and try to release some of that forgiveness, that unforgiveness. So, I don't know if maybe you're upset with your mom or your dad, or maybe you're mad with your sibling, your brother and sister, or maybe a friend that lied to you or lied about you to someone else and spread rumors about you. Maybe it's you. Maybe you haven't forgiven yourself for something that you just can't let go. It's time to start forgiving. And you're going to start feeling so much more free and happy and just filled with joy, because God is starting to turn your life around and starting to realize that life with God and forgiveness is way better than bitterness and grudges and unforgiveness. So God, I just thank you for today. I thank you that you're able to change our circumstances. God, you've asked us to forgive 70 times 7, but even more, God, that you've said, never stop forgiving. Never stop forgiving. God, that we need to forgive every single person that we come in contact with that hurt us or whatever it may be. So Lord, I just pray that today reveal to us what's inside of us, that we might have some anger or unforgiveness toward people. That God, maybe we just need to deal with it right now so that we can start releasing some of the weight off of our shoulders. We love you, Lord. Thank you for showing us all of these amazing things that we need to deal with. In Jesus' name, amen.